Even the way he was responding, Jay, it was weird. Like, I'm like, actually, from the beginning of the call, it was weird, but I hadn't picked up on it because I was just concerned about the fact that he hadn't gotten back to me all day, you know? Then I picked it up. I'm like, how are you okay? You sound a bit weird. Like, he said,
Leave your friends and come spend time with me.
hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, my name is Lucy, and if not, thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate it. I really appreciate the love. It means so much to me. I actually feel loved and supported by you guys. That actually does something to me. Like, it really moves me inside. Thank you guys so much. Anyway, this is part 2 of my previous video of me finding out stuff about my ex and stuff. But yeah, also I'm not really gonna say anything about like the comments and how you guys received it. I do appreciate those that are giving the positive comments and telling me that they hear me and they are not disregarding the fact that I am hurt or I was hurt by some of the things that did happen. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's not waste any time. So in the previous video, I was talking about how I found out that there was cheating and all of that. In this next part, I'm just going to be talking about not really, not just cheating, but other things that did happen that I didn't really like and were red flags. And I thought that after that, it should be like the final straw for me to leave. But yeah, so yeah, apart from all the cheating, the end of it was really just a very shocking thing for me because I felt like I fell in love with a completely different person. Yes, I was in love, and at the end, I was just with a stranger. I did not know, I did not recognize who I had fallen in love with. And I'm not saying I don't have my flaws. I had my flaws. I made mistakes and I regret them. But I would never go out of my way or intentionally try to hurt someone, you know? And I'm not now going to sit here and speak for a grown man because that grown man was aware of what they were doing. They were aware of the things that they were, um, everything. Everyone knows what they're doing. We can't sit here and speak for grown men and say, oh, he's just insecure and he still needs to grow up. And no, then you're excusing his behavior and telling me that um, he only did this because he's like that. No, when you're with an adult, a grown person, you expect them to behave like an adult, you know? And it's funny because the red flags weren't even there in the beginning. It only started showing like mid relationship, and I'm like, where's all this coming from? You know? So, like the typical man, he was very manipulative. He would gaslight me on a daily. He would lie. Oh my God, was he a liar? He would lie on a daily basis. And you know, I'd listen. I'd listen. I wouldn't even question it. In the beginning, I didn't question anything because I was like, you know what, this man loves me and he wouldn't do anything to break my heart or to hurt me intentionally. So I just went with it. I could feel deep within, I could feel inside me that something was wrong. And this is towards like the end of the relationship. I had never gotten a gut feeling so strong and I ignored it. I ignored it completely. Bro, it was so strong, I got sick from it. Like, literally sick. I had stomach aches. I felt dizzy at some point. Like, something was just wrong. And I thought that maybe, oh no, it's just something else. But it was my gut feeling the entire time. It was screaming at me. My intuition was screaming at me to leave this person. And every day I have to remind myself that I'm only human. I need to forgive myself for the things that I couldn't do when it was time to do them. Like, I'm sitting here right now wishing that I'd left sooner, but because I loved him, I didn't. Anyway, so there was this one time where I had called him, and this was like in the early hours of the morning, like 12, 1. It was in the early hours of the morning. We hadn't spoken all day, and I've been trying to reach him the entire day. He just wasn't picking up. He was telling me that, yeah, he'll call me when he gets home. I'm like, oh, okay, sharp then. How he gets home, I had his location. He gets home, he doesn't call. I think when he got home, it was around, I don't know, late probably. And then he loved going out, like to groove and stuff. He loved doing that. So yeah, I just chilled and waited for him to get home. So I see on Find My, it says he's home, but he's not calling. So I'm like, how? Let me give it another hour. Maybe he just needs to take a nap, or maybe he's tired, Sharp. I allow an hour to pass, and then I call him after that hour. Still doesn't pick up. I'm like, oh, okay. You know what? I just went to bed. Then I woke up around that 12 or 1. I woke up, I called him again. Imagine, I'm already chasing this person to come and speak to me. And at that time, I didn't really see anything wrong with it. I call him, he picks up. I'm shocked. I'm like, oh, okay, you actually pick up. He picks up. He's like, hi, how are you? How are you doing? I'm like, I'm good. Why haven't you picked up? I've been trying to reach you the entire day. He's like, he tells me he was tired. He's been working all day and he hasn't really been in the mood to speak, to be on the phone. That time, Umuntu is posting statuses, having the time of their lives. It's fine. He tells me that, yeah, he was just tired. I'm like, oh, okay, how did the day go? We made a casual conversation. So, yeah. But then I got this weird feeling. I was like, something's wrong here. And I don't know how I didn't pick it up sooner. Something was wrong. The background was really quiet. Like, it was really quiet in the background. Normally at those times he's like really busy with stuff. Like, those are his most active hours. So normally the TV would be on, or there'd be music playing in the background, or there'd just be something happening in the background. But it was really quiet. Even the way he was responding, Jay, it was weird. Like, I'm like, actually, from the beginning of the call, it was weird, but I hadn't picked up on it because I was just concerned about the fact that he hadn't gotten back to me all day. Then I picked it up. I'm like, how are you okay? You sound a bit weird. Like, is everything okay? I started to get this weird feeling that maybe he might be with someone. I had a girl's lip gloss shining in the background. That's what I heard. Anyway, yeah, that's when I immediately picked up that, yeah, he's definitely with someone. He is with someone. And I didn't ask him that. I didn't ask him if he was with someone because obviously he was going to say no. So I was just like, oh, okay. Like, he kept trying to end the call, making excuses. I was like, yeah, I need to cook. I haven't eaten. I'm like, how? Can you just spare like 5 minutes so we can catch up on how everything's going? Umuntu kept trying to end the call. He was like, yeah, today hasn't really been a good day. I just really need to get to cooking because I need to sleep. I have work tomorrow. Anything just to get off the school. So I was like, oh, okay, it's fine. I said good night. I went to bed. Bro, but before I went to bed, I literally was contemplating on going to his place at that very hour because there's no way umuntu azongijwayela kabi kanti. But you know what? I was like, it's fine. I'm gonna go to bed. Hi. And it like became a thing for me to like start suspecting such things. Every time I went to his place, there'd just be some odd things. Meaning there was hair, there's hair everywhere. I had wigs. I wore wigs most of the time. But I know what my weak hair looks like. So there was one time where I found earrings. I didn't know who they belonged to. And that's not even the worst of it all. Sometimes I would go there and I'd find what do you call it? Pad wrappers. Like like used pads and the pad wrappers, panty liners. Oh gosh. He would even leave evidence of the fact that he had a sexual intercourse with someone else apart from me. And he'd lie to me and tell me that, oh no, my friends were here, they were doing their things with the girls that they're seeing. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's fine. You know what? I just took everything that he told me. I was like, no, it's fine. I hear you. Like, part of me desperately wanted all my suspicions to be wrong. I wanted my intuition to be wrong. But then you know what? I just kept going because it's fine. Yeah. At that point I just felt like he just wanted to get caught because what do you mean, bro? Like what do you mean? And I'm like, if you wanna get caught so bad, then why do you continue to lie to me? Like every chance he got, he would lie to me. It got to a point where he would start saying things like, yeah, I was doing this because I wanted to see how you'd react. See, this is why I don't do these things anymore for you because you're acting like this. Cause like I would cry a lot. Half the time I was crying. Anyway, um, it just got to a point where he'd say such things. He'd be like, yeah, so manipulation. Yeah, he would tell me that, yeah, I only did this, or I don't do this anymore because you don't do that anymore. Oh, sorry, because you're always complaining. And I'd always be crying, excuse me. I remember there was a time period where I would be crying literally every single day. And listen, my dear, let me tell you, he was not shaken by those tears. Those tears were doing nothing to him. At that point, you could tell that that man did not give up about how I felt at that point. You know, there was a point where I literally sat and I begged him to tell me about what the problem was, what was going on. And I won't lie, I was down bad. I feel like we all go through a phase when we're just down bad, and that's how you learn. I needed little character development to finally realize who I am and what I deserve, you know? It wasn't easy. I'll never forget the times where I would cry every day. And it's not even an exaggeration. Every day when I woke up, I just remember that I'm heartbroken and this person is constantly breaking my heart. When it got to a point where it was deliberate, at that point, he was just doing everything in his power to get me to leave him alone. Oh, and I remember every single time he'd go out. This was every weekend, by the way. He went out every weekend. Um, and every time he'd go out, there'd be a new girl who's added to the follow list. So there was one time, one or two times where I asked him, I'm like, how, Gandhi, why every time when you go out, there's a new girl that you're following? And he's like, no, that's just the way to network. It's just my work. Everything that he did, he just hide behind work, you know? So I'm like, oh, okay. And while he constantly fed me BS. You know what? I ate it. I ate that shit up. I ate it up, you know, constantly. Because there was just that tiny, tiny hope in me that things would work out, you know? But no, no, no. If anything, it just constantly got worse. And yeah, he it just got to a point where even I couldn't do it anymore, but I still stayed, even when I knew I couldn't do it anymore. And sorry. I remember he sent me a message. This was on the final day of the actual relationship. He sent me a long message telling me how he can't do this anymore. Actually, before we even get to that, there was a time period, this is still in the very last days. There was a time period where he'd constantly be telling me that he needs a break and that he needs to discover himself. He just needs to find who he really is. And I was like, you know what? Anything, just so you and I can be okay again. And we'd go like 2 or 3 days not talking. Bro, though those days were miserable for me. I had a miserable time. But for some reason, I was even more miserable when we were in contact, you know? Like, I didn't know what was worse. Being without him was horrible. Being with him was even more horrible. But I don't know. And on the last day of our relationship, he sent me a long paragraph talking about how he can't do this anymore and he just needs to rediscover himself. Bro, it was so bad. I had to get one of his friends to intervene and help me understand what was going on with this person because he had completely switched. And he even told me himself that he can never get back to who he was because of how far things have come or how bad things have gotten. And to be honest, to this day, I still feel like things could have worked out had he not cheated. I cannot go back to a cheater though. But anyway, yeah, on the last day of our relationship, he sent me a paragraph telling me that he can't do this anymore. And you know what? On that day, I accepted it. I fully accepted it. And then I think as I was processing the whole thing, I just fell apart. I fell apart and I remember I was alone on that day. My sister had gone to school. Last year was her first year. She had gone to school in uni, and my mom was at work. My brother was at school, and all of this was happening when I was home alone. Yeah. He, yeah. And then after I had processed it, I just sent him a message, a long message, asking him what had went wrong, why he would do such a thing to me. And I would constantly remind myself that this man has told me he loves me multiple times. He would never do anything to hurt me. That's what I told myself on a daily basis, only to realize that this person actually hated me. He did not care about my existence. It was a horrible experience for me. I fell apart. And when I say fell apart, I mean literally fall apart. I cried so hard. I'd never cried like that ever in my entire life. You would swear someone had passed on. I cried for someone who was still very much alive, living their best lives. And I actually, it doesn't really matter what some of you are gonna say because I know that you're still gonna disregard my feelings and how I felt about the whole thing. And but really it doesn't matter. These are my feelings and this is the only time or not the only time, but I feel like I can fully express how I feel about it without falling apart. Because there was a point where I couldn't talk about it without crying. And I feel like this is like the final straw for me. And yeah, um, at this point, I don't even know. To this day, I'm still confused of why things happened the way that they happened because I don't understand. And you just come to realize that this person never actually cared and he was a good person in the beginning and I could see that he did care. Some of the things that he did because He wanted me to thrive and do well for myself. But then it just got to a point where he was just like, yeah, no, fuck this, you know? But anyway, it it took some time, a very long time, if anything, for me to get to where I am today because I had never experienced anything remotely close to what I experienced in that relationship. But anyway, you know what? You just say it is what it is and you keep it moving because at the end of the day, you cannot make someone choose you. You cannot make someone be someone who they're not. You can't make someone become something that they're not. And that's okay. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you and I love you guys. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.